I feel doubly welcome. Good morning. I am just so excited to be here with you and to see all of your radiant faces and feel the amazing spirit in this place. Thank you so much. Whew. What an extraordinary time it is to be living here on planet Earth. Just when humankind is threatened by looming climate change and multiple systems collapse, something new is emerging just over the horizon. The greatest transformation in human consciousness that the world has ever seen. So we who are on the planet at this time, we are not mere bystanders to these historic events. We are active participants. We're on a great adventure whose stakes couldn't be higher. If we fail, the Earth may well rescind our invitation to inhabit the only planetary home we know. But if we succeed, we will collectively usher in the flowering of a global civilization beyond our dreams. So what does it mean to be part of this transformation? In the movie Decoding Deepak, Dr. Deepak Chopra is asked by his son Gautam whether he really thinks that he can change the world. So Deepak thinks for a minute and he replies, "Me personally, no. But the world is changing, and I'm part of the transition team." Are you part of the team? Those of you listening to me now, you already know yourselves to be masters of co-creation. You're students of New Thought, a movement that affirms that our mental states are carried forward into manifestation and become our experience in daily living, and even the manifestation of the kingdom of heaven here and now. Yes. So we understand the importance of being conscious that we're co-creating our reality at every moment. So there's a reason this is known as New Thought, because people didn't always think this way. In fact, most of them still don't. So 2,000 years ago, Jesus of Nazareth walked the earth, telling everyone who would listen that the kingdom is at hand. His simple recipe was love. And there are now more than 2 billion people calling themselves Christian on this planet. So how many of them do you think are living from a heart of love? Actually, I think more and more. So let's just take another couple of deep breaths together. I love that meditation that we just did. Thank you. Everything this morning has been beautiful. So we breathe in life into this miraculous human body that we have. We only see the outside of our earth suit, but on the inside, we're home to more than 30 trillion cells. And in addition to that, another 30 trillion or more, give or take, bacteria and other guest workers that make up our microbiome. You are a universe. Isn't that amazing? And when you breathe in, and you breathe in spirit, you are activating this entire universe of cells that's being born and functioning and living and dying within you at every moment. You are co-creating life. This is really inspiring, right? Taking in spirit. And that's a very good thing because, if you don't, then you expire. But anyway. So We made a practice of mindful breathing here today. The Vedic traditions do pranayama. There's a beautiful Japanese practice where they breathe in, I am a divine being, and breathe out, humanity is divine. Try it, it's really nice. I am a divine being, humanity is divine, just silently. Anyway, isn't it interesting that we can breathe consciously or we can just let nature take care of it for us? And when you think about the myriad systems in our body that we wouldn't dare regulate, like we're glad we're not in charge because we're afraid we'd make a mistake, right? We don't have that capacity yet in our conscious minds. But that's one of the features of being conscious, is that we have free will, we can make choices, and it's our greatest power, but also our greatest risk. When we align our consciousness with our intentions, we awaken a power that can move mountains. At this moment, science is beginning to embrace a concept that's long been held by indigenous peoples, that we are an inseparable part of a living earth in a living universe, just like the cells in our bodies. So consciousness itself may be the basis not only for all life, but for all reality. And I think that's what you mean here when you talk about divine mind. We are humans, so we have extra qualities. We have thought, and we have self-conscious awareness and language, and we have two very particular behaviors. We alter our environment, and we seek meaning. We're all here today because we seek meaning. And we're waking up to the ways in which we've altered our environment to provide us with food, with safety, with comfort, an opportunity. We live in an age of man-made miracles, but we're facing an age of man-made destruction. What are the signs of the times? They don't look good. We're threatened by dramatic climate change worldwide. Our most trusted systems are in need of comprehensive overhaul, such as education, agriculture, healthcare, energy, finance, economics, and politics. We won't even go there. And our support systems are crumbling. Families fracturing, religious institutions falling apart, failed states around the world. But the good news is that it may be precisely this level of chaos that we're experiencing that is creating the necessary conditions for something truly new to emerge. Dr. Bruce Lipton, some of you may be familiar with his books, The Biology of Belief or Spontaneous Evolution. He tells us that evolution happens in quantum leaps, when an organism reaches a level of complexity that it can no longer contain. He talks about bacteria 1 billion years ago or so, one-celled organisms that were taking in so much information that they made this leap into multi-celled organisms, and that was the beginning of us. So we who live in the current information age, I think we know very well what it's like to be overwhelmed by information. Am I right? What would it be like to jump shift into a new era where our capacities are multiplied exponentially? What would it feel like to evolve from the inside out? What if that were already happening? We often think of the butterfly as the symbol of transformation, but few of us actually understand how that happens. Evolution biologist Elizabeth Sahtouris explains it really beautifully. She says that a caterpillar can eat up to 300 times its weight in a day. Devastating the foliage around it. And it becomes so bloated from overeating that it hangs itself up and goes to sleep. And its skin hardens into a chrysalis. Within that chrysalis, it's just soup. But the genome of the caterpillar was carrying certain information. And science calls this imaginal cells. And these imaginal cells then begin directing it to become a beautiful butterfly. She says, our bloated old system is rapidly becoming defunct, while the vision of a new and very different society, long held by many imaginal cell humans who dreamt of a better world, is now emerging like a butterfly, representing a new way of living lightly on the earth. So, dear imaginal cells, we're in the soup, the dark uncertainty of the chrysalis. But we are co-creating something that's beyond what our minds can even conceive of. What is this new society that we're co-creating? Interestingly, the United Nations has a name for it. Surprise. They call it a culture of peace. You know, when I first heard that term, I was kind of shocked because it made me realize that our entire history had been built on war and violence. Every country came out of bloodshed, revolution, or conquest. But it's over. It's different now. We've mapped the world. We know who our neighbors are. Technological advances have given us jet planes and the World Wide Web so that we can know our neighbors and really be convinced that there is no other. We're all part of one human family. The nations of the world sit around a common table to address issues together. They may not always find the answers, but at least they're dialoguing. Our Mother Earth is experiencing the birth of a planetary civilization, and peace is beginning to break out. I know, it doesn't always look that way. But the underlying consciousness is changing. War is no longer considered glorious or even an effective instrument for solving conflicts. And in the darkness of the chrysalis, the new tools of peace are slowly emerging. They're conflict resolution and peer mediation and restorative justice, other win-win modalities. Slowly but surely, war is becoming obsolete. And the shift in consciousness that will take us there is no less than a spiritual transformation. It requires us to break out of our shells of our individual ego gratification and dedicate ourselves to a larger cause. So, where will we find people who are ready to take on such a commitment? Well, right here, for one. Those who attend New Thought churches are not only seekers, but people who are willing to think beyond the box of our current civilization to reach new understandings of what it means to be human. Another is the civil societies and NGOs all over the world that are addressing the issues of poverty and climate change and water and deforestation and all of this. Author Paul Hawken calls this the greatest movement that the earth has ever seen. Another area is interfaith engagement. We meet the other with the intention of getting to know them. We listen, we learn from one another. I'm an interfaith minister, as you can see. And when I was first ordained 23 years ago, people used to say to me, "What's that? I never heard of it." Yeah, but now there's lots of us. I'm sure you've met many of us too. And interfaith is also helping us to appreciate indigenous wisdom. You know, the indigenous people have always insisted that we respect the earth and the interconnected web of life that we're all a part of. And this may be the key disconnect of our time. Our modern world has cut us off from our most essential connection to God, to life, to the very nature that sustains us. And as our consciousness expands and we move from concern about ourselves and our family and our tribe, our country, our religious community, to the desire to be of service to all humanity, our new sense of global consciousness comes forward. And that is an us that has no them. You know, when we're all family, there's no one to fear. This is our planetary community. This is the meaning of the South African term Ubuntu. I am because you are. This is unity. This is a culture of peace. And it's happening right now, just in time, right? When before have the citizens of planet Earth ever had a crisis like climate change to face as one Earth community? And when have we ever had the tools like the internet to face them together? Jean Houston says, now is the time and we are the people. So this deep spiritual impulse that's calling us to birth a new global civilization fueled by goodwill in a spirit of oneness and harmony with the earth, this is our call. If we look backward to history, we're going to fail. But if we dedicate ourselves to bringing forth the divine within us and deepening our spiritual connection to one another and to the web of life on the planet, then we will each have our own role to play in attaining a level of human consciousness that has never been before. So I think most of you are already part of Deepak's transition team. Your life is changing. You're living these changes. Your life is rich with meaning and purpose. You're choosing healthy food, and you're nurturing your relationships with generosity and forgiveness. You're keeping your body active. You're recognizing your judgments as opinions and not letting them have power. You're not afraid to express love. Do you remember a generation ago when men wouldn't hug each other? I think we're past that now. And you're healing addictions that were passed down from generation to generation. Now, you pray for people on the other side of the world who are victims of disasters that you don't know. You may not have even heard of their country. And you pray for them. You send them money. You want to help across the globe. You conserve energy. You're kind to animals. Maybe you even take the time to commune with your food and the trees and the plants and the precious water that flows through our taps and along your beautiful shoreline. You fill your thoughts with gratitude, and you saturate your hearts with love. So whether you're out saving the world or home taking care of the ones you love, you are the secret agents of an emerging culture of peace. The imaginal cells stirring the cosmic soup of our present chaos. You could be the 100th monkey that helps us reach the tipping point. And you get to do it your way, because the command and control model is history. Now is the time for each of us to bring forth our passion, our talents, and yes, our goodness, joining together to co-create a shining culture of peace. Are you on the team? Yeah. Yes. You know what to do. Let the divine breathe into you the life of a new day. You know, the people who heard the teachings of Jesus, they thought he was giving them new laws to follow to save their own souls. But as we open our hearts to hear the whisper of the divine within us, we realize that it was never about saving only ourselves. The time has come to break through the illusion of separation and realize, just like the trillions of cells that make up our bodies, we are all part of one living organism. The time has come for the earth community to live together in a joyful new way. In the book of Matthew, during the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, "You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." I'd like to close now by inviting you to repeat with me my favorite prayer. May peace prevail on earth. Will you say it with me? May peace prevail on earth. And so it is.